Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday morning so far. Will, what's the most exciting thing that's happening to you this week?
Probably the most exciting thing that's happened to me this week is seeing the team. I think everyone in the team, 90% of the agents have listed and sold something over the weekend. So that's probably been the most exciting thing for seeing the agents in the office. Out of 15 sales agents, list and sell something, which is good.
Awesome. The only reason I asked you that question is I wanted you to ask me the question back. What's the most exciting thing happening to me this week? So I'll answer my own question. I'm going to the grand final on Saturday. So I'm very, very excited to head on down to Melbourne and hopefully watch Brisbane go one better than last year. But anyway, that was a self-serving question, mate. I only asked you because I didn't really care about your answer, to be honest.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
But I do care about the rest of your answers. So we'll jump into it. Thanks for joining us, Will. It's
pleasure.
Great to have you on. I know I've known you for quite a few years now, and I'm really excited for those that don't know you or don't know you well to hear a bit of kind of about you and also what's kind of made you, I guess, into the person and the powerhouse that you are. For those that don't know, Will is the principal of Torres Property, very strong and successful independent business based in the southeast. Would that be a fair description of Brisbane?
Fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Southeast of Brisbane. But Will is an individual agent, incredibly high performer as well. So that's what we're going to be delving into and tapping into today. But I thought I'd ask you first. I was thinking about this morning about you, as I do, and about this interview.
In the shower?
In the shower? Well, that actually leads to my question. I've never seen you in anything other than a full suit. Like you're always in a full suit. Is that?
I am.
Is there a reason behind that? Is it part of design? Like, what's the reason?
No, mate. My suits aren't designer. They're some of them when I started in the business, it was just they're off the rack. I've got a guy who now tailors my suits for me, but nothing in regards to being special. It's just a brand. It's what I've been known to do for such a long time. When I started in the business, my boss and boss of boss used to wear suits. So, for me, I was just something that I was accustomed and I adapted and I felt comfortable having this as a uniform. Everyone's a little different, but I've never felt comfortable. I feel like when I'm in my casual state, I really sort of don't go all in. Whereas when I'm with a suit, I'm very much on show and I'm always switched on and locked on with the agents and also clients.
So I'm trying to rack my brain if I've ever seen you in anything other than a full suit, but I'm not sure I have. I was going to ask you what you sleep in, but I thought it might go in weird directions, this conversation, if I start to ask those sort of questions.
It may, mate. It may.
What does casual wear look for you? Like, is it just like without a tie? Like, what does a casual wear look for?
No, just t-shirt and jeans and sneakers, mate. That's it. Just like everyone else, mate. There's nothing special behind these clothes, mate. Just wearing that. I'm sure it's, mate. You open up that closet behind you, mate. I'm sure we're going to have very much of the similar outfits.
maybe so. Hey, man, what I'd love you to share with everyone is your background. You've got one of the most interesting and I guess unique backgrounds of anyone I've sort of met in real estate. So if you could just kind of take us a little bit through as much as you want to share about kind of your childhood, early adulthood, and then kind of how you landed in real estate, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, Justin, look, I started in real estate probably now, this is my 19th year in the industry, but being a sales agent is probably been about 15 years as a full-fledged sales agent. But going back to that, a lot of people have obviously listened to my story, or if the ones that haven't, happy to sort of give you a quick story of how I became the person that I am today. And I owe everything to my mother. And I've said that from day one. Being a refugee, fleeing a war-torn country back in '88. So there was a civil war that started back in the mid-'70s, and that probably went into the early '90s. A civil war in a small country called El Salvador, which is obviously now one of the safest countries to travel between North and South America. So this country, being in Central America, was obviously in a lot of turmoil, and there was a lot of issues going on in that country, along with obviously personal issues between my mother and my father. So I never had a father growing up. My mother fled the country because of the Civil War back in '88, and we obviously had the opportunity to come to this country. We actually had the opportunity to either go to Sweden, Canada, or Australia. And my mother wanted to get away as far away from the war and my father to not find us. And that was the reason why we landed here. But we came to this country with not having any smart technology. It was a dictionary translating from Spanish into English. My mother went from working in the government to cleaning houses, 3 homes a week, getting by with public transport to navigate her way through and putting, to make sure she was paying the bills, putting food on the table. I was 6 years of age when I landed to this country, and I watched her work her ass off. Went from cleaning houses to making sure that food was put on the table, making sure that we went to the right schools. I didn't mind going public because I saw her struggle, but she was like, no son or daughter of mine is ever going to go public, and no offense to that. She just felt that we needed an education to get out and not do what she was doing or fall into that sort of trap, because it's monkey see monkey do. You see your mother sort of work hard and you see her do a job where you sort of go, well, maybe I might just fall into that trap. And she wanted to make sure that we weren't going to fall into that. So it was very hard to live in public housing for nearly 15 years of my life, or of my life in this country. So up until I was probably close to 20 before I sort of decided to sort of spread my wings and have my own property and then buy eventually, after obviously going into real estate. But we went through schooling. I wasn't great at school. I had an OP. I know things have changed in regards to the systems in schools, where back then it was OP systems, and I got an OP 14 from what I recall. So OP 14 wasn't great. I just wasn't passionate about putting my head into books and reading and educating. I guess educating myself, yes, but not into those sort of fields that you get taught at school. And then I sort of got out of high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I worked at Ortello's on Oxford Street in Bulimba for about 6 months. And I remember sort of putting a prayer out and just going, I think I know that I'm better. I've been put on this earth for something better. And I was praying to the universe, to God, to give me something or a sign to get out of doing what I guess my mum was doing, being a cleaner. And I was between hospitality and being a dish pig, where I was cleaning dishes for nearly 6 months of my first job, because my mother would never let me have a job throughout my schooling career. Like she said, you are not going to get a job. I want you to focus on your education, and that's it. So when I got out of school, I was 18 years, because I had to repeat year 1 because I was speaking in Spanish to the teachers, and the teachers said, look, this boy's not ready to go on to the next onto year 2. So I had to repeat grade 1 to get my English skills up so I could read and write to go on to year 2. And when I got out, when I was 18, she let me have a job, and my job was being a dish pig at Ortello's. And then from there, I went to quitting and saying to the boss, Luch, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, mate, why? And I made an excuse, and I said, well, I don't have a car and I don't really want to take public transport to get to here. And he said, mate, I'll pick you up and I'll drop you off, because he must have thought I was the best dish cleaner he's ever had, because I was extremely diligent with my work and very disciplined. And I got that from my mother, seeing how hard she worked. But I quit and I had nothing to do. And then I said to Mum, I said, I have no idea what I want to do. And she recalls when she was working for a doctor couple cleaning their home, their daughter, who was a psychologist, looked at me at the age of 11 years and said, if this kid doesn't know what he wants to do, put him into real estate, because he can hold eye contact, he's confident, he can articulate, he speaks well, and the biggest thing, he's got confidence. So put him into real estate. My mother always remembered that, the age of 11, the age of me being 11, then turning into 18 and then going into 19, her saying, why don't you do real estate? So I took about 6 to 12 months off. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was literally on Centrelink. I remember lining up at Greenslopes Centrelink for a paycheck, and that fortnight paycheck that I got of $250 a fortnight, I never kept that in my account. I gave that to my mother so she could pay the bills, so she could pay the rent for public housing, and put food on the table as well. I mean, I was living out of home with my partner at the time, but I was really in between living with Mum and living out of home. And then I got into, I said, I'll give real estate a crack. It took me about 6 months to get my certificate. Took me a bit of time. I didn't go and cheat my way by going to ask people, hey, are you in real estate? Because back then there wasn't a lot of real estate agents at my age that were doing real estate. Most of the real estate agents were guys like Jeff Jones. You know, Jeff Jones has been around since 1976. I worked alongside Jeff Jones himself, but they were like old school guys that were there. You know, to be in real estate, you have to be probably in your 40s, you know, or 30s. There wasn't a lot of young people compared to today. And I remember applying for a job, and I was looking in the career mail in the Sunday paper for the job ads, and I'm literally circling with my partner at the time, circling, where do I get a job? Where do I get a job? And I remember applying, and I went to Ray White and Annalee. And I went in there and I had no experience. And the guy sat in front of me and I was like, I want this job. I want to have an opportunity. I saw the fast cars. I saw the nice suits. And I was like, this is better than cleaning dishes. I want a job in this business. And he said, mate, you need to go get some more experience. I don't have a position for you, but I think you'll be great in whatever you do. And I think you'll be great in this job, but I just don't have a position available for you. And then I got a call from Jeff Jones himself, and he said, mate, I'm looking for a cadet. I'm looking for someone young. I went in there, and back then, Justin, I had a suit that was too big, a black suit. I had a mustard colored shirt, a black tie with yellow swirls on it, mate. That was my sense of fashion back then. So, you know, it was nothing special. I've got a little bit better, I think.
I think you've come a long way, mate. You've come a long way. Yeah.
With my color coordination, and I thought I was pretty cool with the mustard colored shirt and the black tie. And I sat in front of Jeff, and I was nervous as hell. And I remember walking out, and I put a little prayer out, and I said, just give me this job. And 3 days later, he called me and he said, mate, you've got the job. And back then I didn't have a car. And I used to get public transport from Carina when I was living with my mother, Carina all the way to Stones Corner. And then Jeff would say, you've got open homes. I need you to go open. I've got an appointment on Saturday at 9. I need you to go open this property at 9:30. And I wouldn't dare tell Jeff that I didn't have a car to start. So I would catch public transport, not always, sometimes. Not a taxi, because I could not afford a freaking taxi. So I would look at the timetables, and back then it wasn't digital, it was on a piece of paper. And I look at the piece of paper and go, I have to catch the 204 to get from here to give me enough time, and then walk 10 minutes to get to the open home to set up for Jeff when he gets to the appointment. And that was my journey. And I know you haven't heard all of that, but I'm happy to share that with the team listening in now, and for you for the first time. So a lot of people have heard that part of the story, but that is literally where I've come from, where that tenacity, that never give up attitude has really sort of fallen on my shoulders, seeing that through my mother.
And I think one of the hallmarks of you in your business is unquestionably your work ethic. So that's clearly been passed down by your mum, has, I guess, put that into you and the way you operate, and you've sort of led aside of that. I'm really interested, I guess, jumping forward a few steps now, as a leader, like you run a business, you've got a lot of really talented people in your business. How do you empathize with people that don't have that work ethic in your team?
I think it's really going on that journey with them, Justin, and sitting in with them and understanding, because everyone has a different journey. Like, my journey is going to be different to everyone else's. I went for a 10K run this morning with one of my colleagues, and I said to him, you know, I want everyone to be a Will Torres. You know, I would love everyone in my office to list and sell and commit to as much as the work ethic that I put in. But I understand that everyone runs their journey, and their story and their chapter is different to my chapter. I just need to support that, and I empathize with that when I sit there and I understand and listen to what they want and how I can support that and give them some sort of encouragement and belief. And I think that what makes a difference in my office, and I can't speak about everyone else's obviously community or environment, but our culture is definitely a culture of energy. It just oozes out, and it's like what the old saying, you know, you are the product of your environment. And I think that that's what's really sounded true, to see a lot of agents that have come from other agencies that have joined Torres, and within a year to 2 years, sometimes even 3 years, they're kicking goals, you know, and they're getting listings and they're making sales. And I think, you're in that product that you just cannot fail based on the productivity. And the only person that can fail is yourself. And of course, you know, I'm there trying to guide them, but I can only lead them to water. I can't make them drink it.
So run us through how like an average day in the life of Will Torres looks now. So today's a random Wednesday. What does your day look like? Run us through the kind of outlook of your day.
Mate, I come into work, you know, of course, you know, acknowledge everyone that's in the office. I sit down, I go through emails. I think it's very much an ideal day, as most people would do. I'd sit down, run all the emails, ring all my clients first thing in the morning. So they would get a phone call from me first thing. So at least one every day, if not every second day, a call from myself to give them an update on what's going on. I would call an average. Now, Justin, this is something that I'm going to share with the entire team that is listening in. I lost my database about 4 months ago. I lost everything. I was averaging about 100 to 110 calls a day. I'm now averaging about 30 calls a day. I've had to rebuild that database. Now, why did I lose the database? Is because I was stuck in my ways. I was the old school agent with a dinosaur database that was not on the cloud, that was on a system, and it crashed. And I could only recover about 70% of that data that I had built up for nearly 19 years. No, my apologies, 15 years, my own personal data. So I had about 25,000 contacts. So I lost that. So it's gone from sitting down and doing 100 to 110 calls. Now, I'm not talking about connects. Let's be real here. I'm not talking about connects. I'm talking about 110 calls and connecting with about 20 to 30% of those 110 calls that I was doing. Now I'm building up my database again, where I'm averaging about 30 to 35 calls of data, and I'm talking about warm and hot leads every single day. Then on top of that, I'm sitting down with my team, having one-on-one, not all of my team, but from time to time, one-on-one conversations for 25 minutes to understand what they're doing, where their journey is at the moment. Then what I'm also applying to my everyday life is I'm trying to go out to a listing appointment at least once a week with one of my agents that they do the pitching. And I sit back and I'm the student, they're the teacher. But when we finish that appointment is try to give them feedback, you know, constructive feedback on how they can improve and how they can be better and how they can articulate and how they can sell their commission better to the client. So that's there's a lot, plus managing obviously, you know, close to 40 staff. So
I've got a couple of sort of follow-up questions to what you said there. I'm really interested in delving into that kind of warm hot leads and who you call there. But just the last thing you said there, where you're going with your team, watch them do a presentation. As a general rule, without talking sort of specifics, what's the number one mistake that you see your team making consistently in listing presentations?
Not listening. God's given us 2 ears, 1 mouth. Ask more questions and listen. I think everyone goes in there and they want, maybe they're different, and I think they are. When I'm in there, they're nervous, and I'm there to back them. And I always tell them, guys, I'm on your side, I'm on your team. I'm not here. I'm not being a psychologist with a notepad, taking down notes and going, oh, they said something, I'm going to write this down and put them off guard. You know, it's very hard for me to not say anything because I've been doing this for so long and I'm so passionate and I feel like I need to recover them and put a life raft out there to sort of bring them back in, because I feel like it's going south very quickly. But the biggest learning experience for my team, and it's not a mistake, it's something that they need to learn, is ask more questions and listen and understand what is that client's journey and what is their trajectory on that journey and where they want to go. So then you can execute that presentation exactly to so you've heard them out, you've listened to what they want and where they want to go and when they want to go, to then rather going, well, let's just go off market, let's just sign you up and let's get it on the market and well, you're not listening. I'm not ready yet, you know? So I think that is probably the number one lesson that we can all learn out of this meeting is that, we can ask more questions and listen more.
Professional problem solvers, right?
100%.
So
You said it the other day, mate. What we get paid the most is, I said to you is because we don't guarantee, we're not guaranteed an income, but you said it right when you were giving us a lesson the other day, and you said it's because we have to have the tough conversations, and listen more and be those professional problem solvers and give solutions.
Spot on. You said there you're doing calling through warm, hot leads, without giving away too much of your kind of secret sauce. Where are most of those leads coming from? And when you're calling them, what's your approach that you're taking with them?
70%, Justin, is coming from my open homes.
Okay.
We run a lot of volume. We were extremely blessed by listing 76 properties as an agency in the month of July. And then followed by that, obviously, we did a really big month in August as well. So, a lot of them, and through my agents as well, and what I've taught them is 70% would come from your open homes. It's about asking the right questions to finding out where they live, post them coming into the property, and then making those phone calls rather than, are you looking at buying or selling, or are you interested in buying? You're not? Okay, great, move on. It's having those quality conversations. And I would say I would take an assumption, which I should never assume, but I should assume that some people, I want to get on the phone and get off the phone. And those calls are the best calls you can have because you've worked your ass off to get a listing. You've worked your ass off to get at that open, and you've got 25 groups, let's call it 25 groups for now, coming through a property. There is bound to be someone there, one or two or three potential sellers that are shopping you. And, that's where I find I get a lot of my leads. The other 30% have come from call-ins, have come, of course, from profile out in the marketplace, from also, people just lead generation sources like local agent finder, open agent. So I'd say about 30% have come from that, but 70% have come more from coming to open homes and us sourcing that information. So not a lot, truth be told, in my personal business, Justin, not a lot has come from cold calling. It did a long time ago when I started, where you did your 20 by 20 by 40, or some do 10 by 10 by 20, as we call it, the magic 30 or the magic 40, whatever you want to call it. So for me, the way I've sort of worked it is that I would leverage, but most of those sellers, and I was always the type of person that was, I need to work with sellers that want to sell now, or people that want to go on the market now, not 12 or 8 or 24 months from now, because I want to get paid. That was my first, I guess, challenge, and what I set myself when I opened up, the opportunity of being a real estate agent.
I think what you said there, one of the things that I think I really admire about your business is that you as an individual have a great ability to leverage your profile into more listings. And we talk a lot about how I think all the great performers that we come into contact with, when they've got a listing, they're actively seeking out and exploring how they create another listing from that listing. Whereas people that are sort of stuck on the hamster wheel, or maybe a bit more inconsistent, as soon as they have a listing, they're looking how quickly they can turn it into a commission check. And I think there's a big difference between those two things. I'm interested in the profile though. One of the things I think that you've done really well is you've achieved very strong market dominance in a specified, defined area, to the point where I know you've referred to other agents, only maybe 2 or 3 suburbs away, whereas most agents would take that and sell it and try and expand their geographical area. Just walk us through, mate, the mindset behind that as to why that's the case and the way you've approached it.
Why have I approached it to refer it to other agents rather than taking it? Why do
you keep your area so geographically narrow? What's the impetus behind that, and why would you refer something that's 2 or 3 suburbs away?
For me, Justin, the ones that I've referred to have all been with, like, if I'm going to refer something to, first to ask, it's a two-pronged question that I hear. The reason why I refer the listings on to people within my agency is because I'm building a brand. I don't want this to be a one-man band, you know, and I'm not taking my foot off the pedal. I just feel like they can benefit, one, to build confidence, two, to get a little bit of cash into their account, and then three, to leverage and get themselves another listing. But also, once they do that and they bring 2 or 3, or they have 6 opens every Saturday consistently, and that's my goal for them, is what it means for me is the more they make, the less the agency makes, and I'm okay with that. But what that means is I can bring more agents, and I can show that I make $1 million agents at Torres, because I'm there to give them the journey and the experience that they want. Now, for me, why I keep it, that's the reason why I refer that on. And also because I'm time poor with what I've got going on as my position today. Don't get me wrong, Justin, and everyone listening in. If I had a listing 3 suburbs away, I would never refer it on starting out. I would take it on because I needed the money. I needed the sales. I needed the leverage to bounce off another one. I couldn't think of anything worse sitting around, finishing up at 12 on a Saturday and I'm going to the coast for the afternoon. I would get anxiety. But that's me. Everyone's different. There's nothing wrong. If you want to go to the coast, go. I get anxiety because I'm like, well, they're working till 3. I want to work till 3. The biggest thing that inspires me is people in the same field. If they're doing it, I can do it. I'm not saying I'm going to be better than them. I just admire them, and I look up to them because they've done it. So for me, and why I've kept it to where I am, is because I understand the process of confidence builds trust. Frequency builds trust. The more frequent you are in the area, the more well you're known, the more business is going to come your way. So for me, I made that decision to say, well, I'm going to stay in this area, in this pocket, because it means that I'm just going to leverage more without having to make so many cold calling, where I know that even though I'm making those calls and building those relationships, as I was saying before, of 110 calls, they are still coming. There's a lot of people that I know that I sell in that area, that when it goes to sell, there is a 8 times out of 10 chance that I'm going to get a call in from someone who's selling in that area. And that's the reason why I stay in those pockets.
And the point you made there is interesting. It's obviously nuanced for if you're starting out as a different kettle of fish, whereas the level of your career, you can make those kind of decisions as to the long-term sort of focus or view to it. If you've got someone in your team that comes to you and says, look, Will, I'm 2 years in, or I'm 3 years in, I'm not really a beginner, but I just am really struggling. I'm willing to work hard. I just don't know where to start. Where would you tell them to focus on? What would be your kind of plan to get
number one? Now for me, I do it a little different, because when I started, Justin, and you and I, we're 2 old cats, man. We've been around for a while. You know that Botox is looking good on you, though, brother. It's looking really good on that forehead.
Man, if I'd had Botox, I'd be wanting my money back. So yeah.
No, but man, look, I've been doing it. It was sink or swim for me. When I started in this business, it's like, Will, sink or swim. There's the phone book, mate. I had the white pages. There's the phone book. Start making calls. Ring. I do it, and I tried to. And you know what they say? Get a farm area. When you go to your farm area, go and leverage every sale that has been done by either the agency or another agent in the area. Be the first one to tell them of the sale, or be the first one to tell them of what's on the market. I get that, right? But mate, how sustainable, Justin, is that to anyone that's getting into the business? You might do that for 3 months. You might do that for 6 months. Mate, the magic is in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That's when the magic starts happening. People go hard in the first 6 months. I've seen it in my agency. What happens after 12 months? They go from booking their agents or themselves 10 appraisals in their first month, to 12 months later, because they feel like they're the experienced agent. They don't need to go door knock. They don't need to do the cold calling, to 5 appraisals. Let me get rid of that. Sorry, mate. We're back. So, apologies. So for me, what I do is I do something a little different. I actually take them under my wing, majority of them, and I put them on properties with me. Now, I don't necessarily put their name on the property, but they shadow me. They come to opens and I say to them, you hand out that letter of offer, you work, all I want you to do, I don't want you to be a buyer's agent, but I want you to service and work the buyer. That's where we're going to start building your first confidence. You know about the property, you've studied it. Go out, I'm here with you, I'm going to be on the ground with you, I'm in the water, we're in the deep end together. There's a buyer over there. Go talk to that buyer. Ask them about their day, what they're up to. If they want to take an offer, give them an offer. You give them an offer, we seal the deal, I'll give you some money for it. It's that easy. And they go, is that easy? It's that easy. Because what I want to do is build their confidence. That's what I need to get to. Because with real estate, mate, all that shit that people talk, you talk about lightweight, Besser block, concrete walls, suspended concrete slab. No agent walks in there and goes, oh, how many square meters of ColourBond roof do you have there? No one talks shit like that, mate, as real estate agents. People buy you as a person and your character and your personality and your energy. So what I say to them is, I want to build your confidence. That's what I want to do to start with. So when we're at properties and I'm building that confidence, and I've done it with all my guys, they see how I work. They first sit back, they're in the nest, they're watching dad do the working, trying to get the food, bring in the food, how I negotiate, how I hustle. And they go, okay, I see his energy. I see his passion. I got to try and mimic that. So then they go under my wing, and that's what I get them to do. And then eventually, once they start feeling how they service a buyer, then we go into how we service a seller. And then we go into what area do we service? And that starts to come out to go, okay, now I know how Will nurtures each buyer and each seller through the process. That's important. Because, mate, if as I said, if you tell them, go knock on these doors and tell them what's on the market, how are they going to speak to them? Mate, Bob, he's a dickhead. He didn't open the door. He wasn't interested. Mate, no, Bob wasn't a dickhead. You're the dickhead. Because you know what? Bob's just having an off day. He's not ready right now. But if you give him something of value in 3 months' time, he might want to listen to you. If you've got something to talk about that is relative to him. But if you're telling him, hey, Bob, I sold a property about, in the same suburb, but about 15 streets away. I don't care. Mate, where I live, if you tell me what's going on in my street, I'm interested. If you tell me what's going on 5 streets at the back, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You're wasting my time.
It's such a good point, mate, because we see all the time people put so much focus and energy and effort into suburb reports and market reports, but they're too general, right? Like they've got to be specific or else people just ignore them and they don't. And especially if it's language like medians and things like that, people just sort of tune out to it, where it's got to be a bit more real than kind of general. Someone just walked in, mate. So,
my little niece walked in, so yeah.
How old's your niece?
She's 9.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yes.
A couple I want to ask you, mate. The first one is that what's the current makeup of your team, your individual team, and what are their roles that they do?
So my team currently stands with one, Kaya Roberts. She's my EA. I think it's important to have it in the EA or PA. I think your business does definitely change. Having someone there, that is 24/7 in that sense. Then I've got concierge, Doug Akerson. He does all my concierge. And then I've got 2 leverage agents, prospectors. I call them leverage prospectors. Ahan, who has 3 years in the business, and I'm so excited for him because he's about to go commission as an agent, full-pledged agent, graduating from co-agent to agent in the next few months. So Ahan, he's been with me. I think he's way too experienced to be a co-agent. He's been with me for like a month and a half. He's already got 3 listings on his own. So I'm like, dude, you're ready. Like, what are you doing? Go. Ahan and then Jared. That's it. That's my team. It was a little bit bigger than that not so long ago, but a lot of those guys that I said before, Justin, that have worked under my wing have seen me work. They're now graduating. What I love about this industry is that you can graduate from administration to PA to co-agent to agent to then running your own business within the business. And that's what I love about you constantly graduate, like going from primary school to high school to university to getting a job and getting a promotion, from, being a cadet to then, getting a promotion into a job. And then before you know it, you're your own boss. which I love. So a lot of those guys have actually spread their wings. Still with me today. They haven't turned around and gone, shit, this is not for me. They've all gone, this is great. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
So the two boys that you've got as leveraged prospectors or leveraging prospectors, well, obviously their responsibility is to leverage.
Correct.
So bringing opportunity. So do they focus on mostly farming through open home attendees and things like that? Is there a different strategy that you have around them?
So I will call all of my open home attendees, me personally. So anyone who's listening in who's my competition, I will personally be calling. I always call the open homes, except if they're obviously they are the lead agent and I'm the second agent. I will not be doing the callbacks. They will be calling because it's their property and I've helped them secure that. I'm there as the support and the back spine, their lower back to help them and push them and narrow them along, direct them in the right way. But I will do all the calls. I will do all the callbacks for the open homes on the Sunday. I will follow with that on a Monday. I will do 2 rounds myself. Third round comes from my leverage agents. But what my leverage agents do, Justin, is we have, I think it's a 13-step leverage checklist that I get them to do for every property, and they follow that as best as they can religiously. I also invest in between that time. So that's for every property that we get on. They need to do that leverage checklist for every property because it's about getting a listing 2 or 3 off the back of the one that I've worked hard for the last 3-4 years. And I'm sure everyone who's listening in at the moment knows that, it doesn't happen. Sometimes it happens overnight, but very rarely. Majority of the time you're working 3-4 years to get a listing. So their job is to leverage and get another one off the back of that through the profile of that listing. And then also I invest in, we're doing obviously quarterly magazines and we're doing proper magazines that do cost a fair bit, but it's worth the investment that gets them out there to go and door knock and hand deliver that magazine to every vendor owner in the area that we work.
I knew this question would come in and someone's asked it. What is on that leverage checklist? Are you happy to share it, or would you like to keep that as your own information?
Look, it's I don't. Can I be truthful with you? I have not looked at that leverage checklist in such a long time. They sign off on it, and I take it for a bit. And look, and we've got KPIs. The leverage checklist. What's on that leverage checklist? Of course, it's the simple things: bringing the street before the signboard's up. That is a must. You put that signboard up, the power's gone. You've got to get that call out before the signboard's up. Doing your...
Can I just sit on that point just for 1 second?
Yeah.
That is, it seems such a basic thing, but it's so important that you're the bearer of the news, right?
Brother, you know what? Discipline and consistency is the simplest thing, but it's the hardest thing to get. Yeah. Mate, it's just, I think, well, for me, you sit there, it doesn't cost anything, Justin. Does discipline cost anything? I mean, financially. When you go commission only and you have no money, you've got $20,000 in the bank, and that's not enough to live your lifestyle if you're not living with mum and dad. You're $20,000. You can't put that money, invest that money into marketing. So what do? You go, okay, well, that money's for my gym, that money's for my rent, that's money for food on the table. But, what else do you have? You've got consistency and discipline, and that will get you through the hard times, and that will get you the listings. But yes, the simplest things is making those calls before a signboard's up. Number 1. Number 2, what's funny?
Oh, just Stu Southwell in the chat, he said, just make it up, the leverage checklist, which,
Just make it. Hold on, I'll ask one of the girls. Jacinda, can you pass me a leverage checklist? Can you print a leverage checklist out for me?
Would you be happy to share it, or would you rather keep it in-house?
Oh man, I'm happy to share it, bro.
Rather than you running through it, let's share it out. So
I can send it to you.
We'll send it to the Urban X team because I'm terrible with administration, and then they'll send it out. But thank you, mate. That's very kind of you to do that. Much appreciated. I know you're a bit time poor today, so only a couple of quick ones to finish. I think your area, mate, is no different to every other area in the Southern Hemisphere that sellers in quite often at the moment are the largest barrier to transactions. You've got sellers that are overpriced, that are overly ambitious. Is there anything you're doing differently in this market to sort of address that?
Yes. Sitting down with them. I tell you what, everyone in here, Justin, you said to me, we get paid for the tough conversations. And I say to my team, yeah, we do get paid for the tough conversations. But I'll tell you now, no one has to have a tough conversation with their vendor if you nurture them and call them every single day and give them value and let them know that you have done everything possible for them to make them understand that, hey, that $2 million offer, that $2 million price that you want, I have pushed, I have encouraged, I have leveraged, I have got buyers that have got $3 million, and I continue to keep getting resistance. When can I come see you to have we need to have a chat and a strategy. So thanks, Jacinda. There it is there.
Yeah, right. Cool. How cool.
So I'll get it out to you. 12 steps. I said 13, but 12. So
the 13 step is just do it.
Yeah. I wanted to say I'm sitting down and I'm having conversations with vendors either on the phone or FaceTime, but I like doing them in person. I did one, Jack, your guy, well, my guy, your guy, with Sharon. He's a bit of a prostitute, so he called an auction for me on Saturday, and we sat down with him and I sat down with the vendors, sort of halfway through negotiations, and we sat at their level. We didn't stand over the top of them. I didn't have a crowd. We sat down, we slowed everything down, and we discussed about where the market and the interest has been. And they went from their expectation being, now we didn't sell it, but Justin, the great thing is we went from their expectation being $2.4 million to now 2.1 in a matter of 20 minutes. But that has come from a journey that doesn't, if you do call them once a week or twice a week, good luck trying to get them down from 2.4 to 2.1 in 20 minutes. No way. But you call them every day and you show them and you say, that agency over there sold this for this, and that's what buyers are telling me why they're not going to this level, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I understand, Will. I'm showing you the evidence. I'm on your team. I'm here for you. But very quickly, when you have those real conversations, those genuine conversations, and they can see that you care and that you want the best for them, they listen. Because that's when you can then take over this and use this more. At the start, it's this, and this needs to shut up.
And the point you made earlier was frequency builds trust, right?
That's right. Frequency builds trust, mate. More frequency, more trust, mate.
Last one to finish. You've been amazing, mate. There's so much stuff that people are going to take from this, and I know they're all excited for the leverage checklist to hit their inbox as well. You're 10K this morning, mate. What time are you trotting around?
Oh, mate, I'm hitting at the moment. So I did 4.49 per K.
Pretty good going.
4.4. I'd love to get it around 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Man,
it was tough. When are you going to come for a run with me, brother?
Not if you're running 4 minutes 49 Ks, mate. That won't be happening for a little while. So I'll we'll leave that to the side. But mate, thank you so much.
It's all right, mate.
You've been incredibly generous with everything. It's been tremendous. And mate, thank you again for sending that through. I'm sure the team's going to get a lot of value from it. Good luck for the rest of the day, mate. Hopefully it's a nice, successful day. And to everyone else, thanks for tuning in as well. Will Torres, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Cheers, brother.